Joining us now to weigh in, the president of Shellmark LLC, Hilary, along with senior research fellow at Unleash Prosperity and former chairman of the White House Council of Economic Advisors, Thomas Phillison. Good to see you both. Hilary, I'm going to start with you. The biggest hangups are what? I know this is pretty complicated stuff when you're talking overall trade between the two world's biggest economies. What are you reading into this?
Well, I'm reading into this that one of the things we don't hear a lot about, Bob, in our national media here is ethane gas. Ethane gas is what's used to make plastic. And China imports 98.3% of what we export. So the Chinese are literally desperate, Bob, for our ethane gas. So that's a really good point. And on the other hand, don't forget, what we need is all their rare earth minerals for our auto industry, tech industry, aerospace industry. And that's really put pressure on us. So I would say it's mutually beneficial to do this deal at Lancaster House. And as Lutnick said yesterday, it's going very well because both sides actually need this to be done. And last but not least, I think the pressure, though, is more on the Chinese because even in their national media, they've admitted to their public because they have factory workers throwing themselves off buildings, committing suicide because so many buildings and so many factories are closing. Their economy suffered a 34% decrease in exports. So it's really bad on them. Both sides need to come to a deal quickly.
Thomas, there have been a lot of experts who think that it would be nearly impossible to get a deal, a trade deal going with the Chinese. Obviously, we're encouraged by these meetings, but we know that culturally the Chinese need to save face, especially, of course, their leaders. Do you think making a deal with the United States would ruin that for them? And do you think that would make it impossible for them to come to terms?
I don't know if it's going to make it impossible. I think the meeting in London is mainly to clean up what they already agreed on in Geneva a few sort of weeks back, which is, again, the rare earth minerals, which are very important. China are, 70% of mining and 90% of refining for some of these, so that go into everything from defense, EVs, and phones, etc. On the larger trade war, which I think has to be delayed after these kind of export restraints are getting settled in London, I think it's kind of, we have a different stance on China relative to every other country because they're communist and we're fighting them not only on trade, but also militarily, right? So the question is, do we try to build up their economy with trade and therefore build up their military while at the same time we spend 3.5% of our GDP building up our military against communism? It's kind of a sort of a two-sided way. One way we're helping them, another way we're trying to build up to arm against them. So I think they realize that they're very different in terms of trade negotiations with us than what we see with the EU or Mexico or Canada, for that matter.
Hilary, we got 20 seconds. I want to bring this up. Another big part of this is decoupling from China altogether. You were kind of talking about their economy. I just want to point this out. Chinese exports to the U.S. plunged 34.5% from a year ago. So clearly something is happening. Something is in the works because of these tariffs and some of the trade deals going on.
Yes, and don't forget Xi Jinping. When the economy and his nation was doing well, he took all the credit. Now, who is the entire nation pointing to who's failing? He does not want to fail. He does not want egg on his face, and he does not want riots in the streets. That's what he doesn't want, so he's got to do a deal.
All right, we're going to leave it there. We'll see how things play out. They're still meeting. Hilary, Thomas, thank you.
Thank you, Bob, Katrina.